Hey, BookTube, Sean here. Back from my vacation. Hopefully, by this point, you have seen the first part of my book haul from the time I was on vacation in New England and the days surrounding it. I haven't filmed part two of that yet as I'm recording this. So you may see this before you see part two of the book haul. You may see part two before you see this. I don't know when haven't decided yet when I'm going to upload things, and I got more videos to record. I don't think I'm going to do much more recording tonight. But anyway, this video I just want to do kind of a little catch up, and because I've been gone for a few weeks. I think it was a week before I left when I posted my last video. So I just kind of want to update you on what's been going on and what my plans are for the last part of October and going into November. So kind of a late October, November TBR, if you will. Had a great time on the trip. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw some of the things we did. I saw H.P. Lovecraft's gravesite. I mentioned that in the book haul video. We went walking along the cliff walk in Newport, Rhode Island that goes up along the mansions in Newport. That was beautiful. And then we toured some of the mansions. I talked about that in my book haul, part one. We went whale watching, which was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. You never know if you're going to get to see any whales when you go out on the boat. Going out into Massachusetts Bay and that kind of edge of the Atlantic Ocean, that was worth the price for the ticket by itself. Even if we didn't get to see any whales, just that experience on taking the boat ride out there was worth it. But we saw so many whales. Apparently, a bunch of them were feeding, and she said at one point there was close to 24 circling the boat. So it was just amazing, and I have a little video on my Twitter, little 16 second video on my Twitter of the whales. It was so awesome. And, we went and walked around the Harvard campus, went to the Natural History Museum, and kind of an archaeology museum that's there on the Harvard campus. We did the Freedom Trail in Boston. We went to both Cheers restaurants. We went to the original bar that was the inspiration for the set of the show Cheers, and the outside Cheers sign and everything. I have a picture of that up on the Twitter, and that was really cool. You could really see what they took for the inspiration for the set. And upstairs, they have a set replica bar, which is not a replica of the entire set. It is a replica of the bar, the center bar. And then they also have a set replica bar. They have a separate location that's a set replica bar. And I thought, both of us, my wife and I both thought that it would be a replica of the entire set. Like you walked into the set. A replica of the set of Cheers. And it wasn't. Again, it was a center bar that was about 90 to 95% accurate to the Cheers center bar. What really surprised us, though, is I'm assuming most of you know the show Cheers. I know there's a lot of BookTube that's 10, 15 years, even 20 years younger than me. But I'm assuming even Cheers is pop culture enough and has been in reruns forever. So I'm assuming everybody knows Cheers. And if you don't, It's on Netflix. It's on Hulu. It's on CBS All Access. Go watch Cheers. It's one of the greatest sitcoms ever. But anyway, so we're expecting to walk into an entire set replica, and it's not. As I was saying, we expected like a bigger deal to be made out of like Norm's spot and Cliff's spot at the bar, and like just like a sign or something that says like Norm's spot or something. It wasn't, or to be like a prime location, it really wasn't. Like, it wasn't marked at all. It wasn't, and like I said, all the replica was of the actual center bar, and even that wasn't 100% accurate. But they had this downstairs area where they weren't seating anybody, but you could walk down and kind of look at it, and it reminded me more of the set of Cheers than the entire upper part of the bar. Like, you walk down there and, it almost felt like the back pool room of the set. But if you're going to call yourself a set replica, it needs to look like the set. I would expect to walk in, and they did have kind of a replica of the Indian in the corner, but I would expect to see Sam's office in the back, and the hallway with the bathrooms going back to the pool table. And it just wasn't that at all. But it was really cool to see the original Bull and Finch pub that which they do now call Cheers. Because they haven't changed that. Like, they didn't make that look like the set. You can still see totally how that pub inspired the set. It was really cool. This is gonna end up being a long video. I'm sorry, guys. You can put me on double speed, whatever. But we also went to Salem. I talked a little bit about my disappointment in Salem in my book haul video. I will link my book haul video down below because I don't want to repeat a lot of that. We also we went to the Sam Adams Brewery, did a tour of Sam Adams Brewery, which I gained a whole new respect for Sam Adams beer. During that, it was a free tour, and you got to sample some beers. And I have mentioned, I think, about me struggling with beer and the headaches I can get from it, and I might have figured something out. Because they talked about how there's only really two types of beer, ales and lagers. And all the types of beer, stouts, reds, browns, everything that you see in the stores falls into those two categories, ales and lagers. And they use different types of yeast. And lagers themselves don't have much yeast, if any, left in the final product. And it's brewed at a lower temperature. And I think my headaches that I get from drinking beer may be related to the difference between ales and lagers. I think it's kind of a theory I'm going to test. Put my head on the line a little bit and test out a little bit, because I would like to have beer back. But I think it's ales that give me headaches and not lagers. This is a Sam Adams Boston Lager. If I was going to get a headache from this, I would have gotten it at about this point. I would have started to feel it already, and I'm fine. This is only my first one. Anything that I do that seems like it could be the beer is just me. So yeah, I would already know, and I would already have dumped the rest of this out. So, and unfortunately, most of my favorite beers are ales, but so I may just have to risk the headache every once in a while. But it's nice to possibly know that is definitely beers I can drink, and because I was drinking Sam Adams Oktoberfest for 6 days straight, and I was fine. So anyway, let's talk about some books. I Didn't get anything read while I was on the trip. I was so exhausted by the end of the day, every day, that I just didn't really. I took books, but I didn't read much at all. I read on the plane a little bit. So the books I have in progress right now, and what will probably take me through the end of October, I have The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. Buddy reading this with Juliet, a Girl in a Book. We're both a little over 100 pages into it. She talks about it in her recent video, and I'll link her video below. We're both really enjoying it so far, but like I said, we're only a little over 100 pages in, and it's an over 1,000-page book, so who knows. But and I'm reading Marota still by L.L. McNeil, fantasy book, heavily dealing with dragons. So if you like dragons, check out Marota. I'm really enjoying it. I'm almost 50% of the way through it, and I'm really enjoying it. Got a couple of cozy mysteries going. I have Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander. This is what I was reading on the plane to Boston. And I also have On What Grounds by Cleo Coyle still going. The reason I have two cozy mysteries going is I was going to take this with me to read on the plane and probably finish on the plane because cozies go pretty fast for me. But I noticed some damage to my cover, and it's a clean cut, and I don't know what happened, but something happened, and it, like I said, it's a very clean cut. It had to be a knife or something. But I didn't want it to get further damaged on the plane or in my luggage, so I took a different cozy with me. And I also started reading The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld. I was talking to Julie, and she was excited about finding Renee Denfeld's new book at her library, and she was telling me about The Enchanted and how beautifully written it was. And I was excited to hear somebody talk about that because I've had it on my Kindle for a while, but I've never heard anybody mention it or talk about it other than like critical reviews of it. So I was interested in it, but I wasn't like pushing it to the front or anything because I hadn't heard anybody talk about it really. So she got me, listening to her talk about it made me put it back on my Kindle, and I just wanted to read the first couple of pages to see what she was talking about with the writing style, and I read 40 pages, and I'm just really into it. It really hooked me. Yeah, so that I'm going to be hopefully finishing that up in the next couple of days, honestly, because it's really good. So that's what I have going on. The other thing, I went back to Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. I'd like to get to finish up the Farseer trilogy by the end of the year and get to Live Ship Traders, starting in January. So I gonna have that going too. I'm hoping to finish that. If I finish nothing else by the end of the month, I would really like to finish Royal Assassin and Marota, because I need those for my Reddit Fantasy Bingo, and I need to do at least 2 books a month for that through the end of March to finish that up. Because I would really like to complete the card in that. And I'm going to do a video, an update video on that, because I did a TBR for it, one of my first videos I did, but I'm going to do an update video on that and tell you what categories I finished and what I'm thinking of for the remaining categories. So going into November, I got a couple of buddy reads planned already, and I got a couple of other things I'm thinking about. And some things are subject to change, and I'll probably, hopefully add more. I'd like November to be a really great reading month, honestly. But first buddy read I have scheduled is To Brew or Not to Brew by Joyce Tremmel. This is the first book in the Brewing Trouble mystery series, and it's about takes place in craft brewery, so it really plays to one of my interests. And I'm going to be buddy reading that with Courtney at Cortagonist. We've been wanting to buddy read something together for a while, and it only makes sense that we start with a cozy mystery, because that is how we first connected, was through cozies and talking about cozies. So I'm really excited to read that with her. The other buddy read I'm going to have is Mage's Blood by David Hare. This is the first book of the Moontide Quartet, and I will be buddy reading that with a few people. I'll be buddy reading it with James Chatham, Shelby from Read and Find Out, and Blaine from Silly Little Ravenclaw. And I will link all their channels below. I think James, most people know. Check him out if you don't, definitely. But definitely also go check out Shelby and Blaine, who also calls himself Wolfie. Go check out their channels too. They're both just really great people. So we'll have that going on. James has got the idea to read the entire Moontide Quartet starting in November, one book a month. And I definitely at least want to do the first book, because I have it on my TBR for my Reddit Fantasy Bingo. And we had talked about possibly buddy reading it back in September and just didn't get to it. So I'm kind of excited to get going on that too. And other things I'm thinking about, The Boston Girl by Anita Diamant, who wrote The Red Tent. That is the November... excuse me, I'm looking something up while I talked about this. That is the November pick for Robin from Driftless Readers. Blast from the Past Goodreads historical fiction reading group. I've been wanting to join in on that for a little while. Basically since I started getting to know Robin. Because it's a good way for me to finally get to some historical fiction that I just never get to. I always intend to get to historical fiction and I don't, but I do enjoy it. And The Boston Girl looks like it is about a girl in the 1920s, and we all know I'm a sucker for 1920s stories, so I'm really hoping to get to that. Her next few books are ones I really would like to get to. I also, for nonfiction November, I want to at least pick up Soul of an Octopus. I have that on the way from my work rewards program. It's by Cy Montgomery, and it's a nonfiction about octopuses, and I've heard just fantastic things about it. People say, you wouldn't expect a book about octopuses to be so intriguing, but it is, and it kind of relates human nature to octopuses, and I've been wanting to read, and I saw it all over the place in Boston too. So it just really made the desire to read it that much stronger. So I have that on the way. That should come to me in the next week or so, and definitely want to pick that up for nonfiction November. I might do a couple other things. The Discord book club, the Booktubers Discord book club, and I'll put a link to the Discord to the Booktube Discord server in the description. You don't have to be a booktuber to join. If you want to join the book club, that's cool. But they're going to be reading When Breath Becomes Air for nonfiction November, and that's one I've been interested in a little bit too, so I may try to get to that one. That's not as high on my list of nonfiction to read as Soul of an Octopus, though, so we'll see. Another fantasy I want to get to in November is Sailing to Sarantium by Guy Gabriel Kay. It's either going to be that, Perdido Street Station by China Mieville, or 12 Kings and Sherakai by Bradley Bolio, for my other Reddit Fantasy Bingo book for the month. But right now, I'm kind of feeling Sailing to Sarantium. And let's see, I have everything written down here. The only other thing I might be thinking about right now, I just wrote some stuff down off the top of my head that I've been thinking about and talking about in book club stuff, is April getting Hooga with its Dying to Read book club is going to be reading Little Deaths by Emma Flint, and that is one I have sitting on my Kindle. And I've heard, I think it was Simon at Savage Reads raved about it. So I've been interested in that one since I heard him talk about it. So that's it. That's kind of what I'm thinking of so far for November. Like I said, I may add to that, and I will update as I go along and change things, and because I'm a mood reader. So if it's not a set buddy read, it's very likely to change. I'm going to be cleaning up this room that I'm sitting in too, and getting a lot of books out of it. Because I was telling Julie a couple weeks ago, or not even a couple weeks ago, just a few days ago, that I think a lot of what happens with me is I have so many books piled up around here. I can kind of show you a little bit that, see under the keyboard here, I have just piles of books. And since I'm on selfie mode, I hope that worked. But I turn around, and this is, when I work from home, this is where I work. I have this monitor here that's off, and this other one, this is my work from home setup, and then over here I have my gaming computer. So I'm in this room constantly, and I just look around, and I go, oh, I want to get to that. And that just creates this ADD situation with the books. So I need to not have so many within my sight. And I think I'll stick to, just the ones that I have going on better. It's kind of the same way on the Kindle. I have so many downloaded to my Kindle that I'll just flip. It's like what I do with Netflix. I just flip through until I figure out, until something clicks. But anyway, I'm rambling, and so I will keep you guys updated on how those things are going, and when things change. Hopefully, I would like to be able to be reading at a pace that I can kind of update weekly with at least one book that I've read and kind of what I have in progress. At least through November, that my ability to do that will definitely decrease in December. My wife and I are going to be assistant directing I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change, the musical, for a local theater group. She's directing, I'm ADing for, and it's one that we did self-produced, directed, starred in production of it right after we got married. It was a project I wanted to do. This time she's the lead on it, and I'm supporting her. So that's going to audition after Monday and Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and then in December we'll be rehearsing 3 or 4 nights a week, probably 3 nights a week through December. So that's going to cut into my availability to read. So that's why I'd like November to be a really good reading month. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you to all my subscribers. To anybody new, welcome. I'm happy to have you here. And hit me up in the comments if you've read anything I've talked about. Let me know what you're reading. I love hearing from you guys. Hook up with me on social media, and I will see you all in my next video. I wish you all good reading.